I feel like the number 5 does not get enough recognition past its connection to change or movement or travel or adventure. And it's like, baby, there's so much more in there, and we're going to talk about it. So welcome to Numbers with Jacari. I'm your host, Jacari, but you already know, call me Ace. And like I said, we're talking about the number 5, little in the ins and outs, stumbled over my word like shit over there. And that's very much 5 of me, because 5 rules over communication. But that's all good. If you're liking what you're hearing, make sure you share it on your socials and tag me at Numbers with Jacari on Instagram or TikTok. All the direct links are in the description of this episode. I do have services available for readings. What else is there? Client work and also mentorship. So make sure you tap into that. But let's go ahead and get into this because I'm excited. I feel like I don't talk about the number 5 as much as I want to because it's probably one of the strongest numbers out here because of its connection to the mind. So we have other numbers connecting to more broad themes that people are experiencing and they might not necessarily feel a connection to, but everybody is connected to their mind to some extent because it's how they're understanding words. It's how you're understanding me right now. It's what you're thinking, the thoughts that you're having or you're not having. It's the comprehension of the information. It's how your brain is working and all the incredible things that your brain does. It's how your body is knowing what to do, how your hands are knowing when to move and how to move and all the other stuff. Like 5 encompassing the mind in and of itself puts it in a league of its own that is literally untouchable by any other number out there. And it also therefore is encompassing in its own way every theme of all the other numbers. And it sits right in the middle of numbers 1 through 9. It's actually also the only number that reflects itself. And commonly when we're talking about reflections, there are 2 numbers that are sitting on opposite sides of the same vibration. But what happens when those 2 numbers is the same number? Then energy is staying very internalized, which is also very much highlighting of how the mind works, of nobody's hearing your thoughts necessarily, at least not all the time. Not everybody is understanding things how you understand them, processing them the way that you're processing them, comprehending and communicating the way that you're communicating. The imagination is not imagining the same way for everybody. The experience is not experiencing for everybody the same way. And 5 is seeing all of that. And I think that is so cool to see how diverse you can become when we take into account the world that is the mind. Now, I go over this number and a bunch of other numbers, 0 through 9, in my Intro to Numerology guide because I want you to understand that the number 5 is more than that change and adventure. And it hides so much more of what I just spoke about because there's so many cool things with numbers. So I'd recommend checking that out. And also if you have a 5 dominantly placed in your numbers of that psychic, destiny, or name number, I'd also say come over here and get a reading with me, babe, because we can help you out because it's so much more. It's so much more, especially when you have that attention or attraction to the mind with this energy, because 5 is ruled by Mercury and Jupiter. So it sits on this axis of not only the student, but also the teacher. So this brings emphasis on its theme of comprehension and understanding. Because if we think about in astrology, how Mercury is connected to the 3rd house of younger or early education, of like that first things that you're learning, earlier times in school, of that before we go to college. And then on its axis is the 9th house, which is ruled by Jupiter. And you have that higher learning, that higher knowledge. You have that encompassed in the number 5. And I, again, think it's so cool. It's so cool because it's like we're not only taking into account how we first learn how to communicate, but the growth involved with that communication, the comprehension that is developed over time with that information, and how much also misinformation there can be. Something interesting about the number 5, and like I had said, it's one of the strongest, if not the strongest numbers out there because of the fact that it doesn't necessarily have the intensity or power or dominance that 8 has per se. It doesn't have the passion or the transformation that the number 9 has, and it doesn't have that same introspection that 7 has access to. And I could go so more in depth with the other numbers as well, but because 5 rules over the mind, its ability, this is gonna get dark for a second, its ability to manipulate is so much more intense because it's the mind. It's that comprehension, and it's that ability to understand. And this isn't to say that every psychic 5 or life path 5 is a master manipulator. No, I ain't say that. Don't go around putting words in my mouth, because I ain't say that. There's just the capacity to alter information and not only alter, but understand information in such a deep way that you can't help but be able to be like, oh yeah, this could go this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way. And that highlights the relationship that the number 5 has with perspective and perception as well, of the understanding of, okay, well, I'm looking at it from this angle, but I could also look at it from this angle. It could be this. And it's like, this also ties into a hypothetical alternate realities, and also like the astral plane, in a sense of just these different ways that things can go situationally, and also just even understanding it to be, and also even comprehending and understanding the fact that a situation that might happen for you present day, you might have reacted to it differently a couple years ago, a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago even. But like this reaction that you're having to the situation as a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old or whatever age that you are, compared to how you might have reacted to this when you were 5. And the level of understanding and comprehension you had as a 5-year-old or as a 10-year-old or as an 8-year-old, as a 13-year-old, and all of those things. And I think that is so freaking cool. And something else that I want to throw in here is specifically psychic 5's connection to their voice. One of the coolest things I've ever noted is the 5's ability to, or the 5's connection to their voice. Not necessarily that it's something that's intentional, but there's an impact to speech and enunciation, whether that is they're really good at those things, or that's something that they struggle with, a dyslexia, or they're able to really understand the words they're saying very easily and very clearly. There goes both ways. It goes both ways because of duality, but also they have very distinct voices. One of the most notable psychic 5s that I can think of off the top of my head, I want to say, is Miley Cyrus. And she is born on the 23rd, and that makes her an exalted psychic 5. We also have Doechii in there. We also have Nas. We also have Quincy Jones. You have a lot of impactful, incredible lyricists that come under this number. Kobe Bryant is also born on the 23rd. Chaka Khan is in there. So you also have really great performers that come under this number. Lil Yachty is also a psychic 5, and he's an incredible songwriter. And there's other people in other industries that you can look into who are born under the psychic 5. So people who are born on the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd have this connection to words or communication in a very large way. And it's so cool to see how 5s work, because you can have a psychic 5 who is over here like, oh, they love to travel, they love to go on adventures, they love to be social and interact with people. But you also have psychic 5s who are very much kept to themselves. And this was why it's important to understand that numbers are not only just your psychic number, not just your life path number or destiny number or just your name number. It's all of those things interacting with each other, as well as your personal calendar, because that is how you get more context of how these numbers are showing up right here, right now, because it does go deeper than just that surface level of 5 is the number of change, and it loves to travel and adventure and movement. It's like, yes, it does do that, but there's so much more, and I just love it. I honestly just love it. It's so cool to be able to see how broad these numbers really, really go. So I encourage you to not only check out the Intro to Numerology guide to get a better look into the number 5, but also if you have a psychic 5, or you even have a 5 someplace in your numerology of you're born on the 15th or the 25th even, you have that 5 in there, and you want to give a little bit more context of how that 5 is behaving with the other numbers, I would recommend booking a reading with me, because I can definitely help you out with that. I am 100% confident in that. But you know what? Thank you so much for listening, and share this with somebody who is either a psychic 5, life path 5, name number 5, any of the 5s, or just want to learn about numbers. Send them my way, send them the podcast, send them the bookings, whatever you want to do. But make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Numbers with Jacari, because we got content. We got content on content on content. But you know what? Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!